Hello, gentlemen. Today I'm going to break down some of the plays out of the new offense that just dropped on the site, which is Madster's Chiefs offense. This is a complete off-meta offense, and I'm sure your opponent has no idea what to do against this because these formations, I don't really see people running. Now, tight Y off is one of the formations, and I do see that sometimes. It's mostly for like the RPO zone alert glance. People aren't really running this as like a full-time scheme. But he also breaks down normal off close weak as well as Y off trips weak. So this entire scheme is very off meta, and your opponent really isn't going to know how to adjust to it because they probably just haven't seen it before. And there's just a lot of good corner routes, a lot of good post routes, a lot of good RPOs in this playbook in general. So if you're into that kind of thing, check out the full scheme on acemadden.com. If you become a member, you'll gain access to this offense as well as everything else that's on the site. So other offenses, the defenses we have on the site, and it's just really good value. So check that out. Now let's go ahead and break down some of the plays out of this offense. Okay, so the way we're going to break this down is I'm going to start with some RPOs that are really good out of this playbook, and then we'll move on to setups that do not require additional routes, and then we'll finish the video with some setups that do require additional routes, like with tight end apprentice or something. So the first one is going to be tight Y off and RPO zone alert glance. We'll just briefly talk about this because I'm sure you guys know how RPO bubbles work at this point. Now, one thing I want to mention, and this goes for the entirety of the video, is everything I'm going to do is going to be on the left hash. So if the ball is on the right hash, I do recommend flipping your formation. Same goes for your RPOs. I think the RPO right here is better to the short side. So what we're going to do is throw to this bubble most of the time. It's kind of hard to stop. You get really good blocking, and the fact that it's from your outside receiver just makes it kind of unique. Another thing I like about this formation is you have the strong side of your formation is on the running back and tight end side. So if they're in a set that doesn't have two slot cornerbacks, you can kind of artificially create a numbers advantage on the strong side of the field. So like right here, look at how the slot cornerback is matching the weak side, or the twin side with the receivers. It's nice because when we actually pass the ball out of this set, we are going to have an advantage on the strong side and wide side of the field. Do it again. Pretty modest gain. Good push by Pacheco. You can also hand it off to your running back. That's cool too. So overall, just a really good RPO. Next, we're going to be talking about RPO zone dive out of Y off trips weak. Now, this is a better run than it is a pass, but you do have the option to pass because you do have a bubble. So what I recommend doing is before you snap the ball, I would hit B or circle, and what that's going to do is give you a wide view of the field, so you can now see like if that bubble is actually going to get open. That's a good, practice to just get a wider view, so you don't throw like just a wide open or just throw a pick right at the cornerback on the outside or something. But I do love that this is a dive. I think that's super unique. And like you see how we just get a pancake right there. Like Trey Smith is just going wild. And honestly, if you just pay attention to the guard, he is going to be doing that a lot. He's going to be just completely demolishing. And if they're in a 3 down lineman set, he's going to be getting to the next level constantly. So like right here, watch this. See how he gets to the next level? Even if they're in a pinch set, it can happen. So yeah, this is really good too. Make sure you mix this in. Now let's move on to some pass plays. So the first passing setup is going to be chip corner strike out of Y off trips weak. And this was actually a really good find by Madster because the route that we kind of build around here isn't really in the game anymore. And it's this short C route from X on the weak side of the field. Look at the difference between the depth from X and the depth from B. So B is kind of like the more standard C route now, and we have this short C route from X. That's a big deal. Let me set up the play and then I'll explain. So streak your tight end, curl your slot receiver, out route your outside receiver on the strong side, which is B, and your play should look like this. Now, the idea behind the right side of the field is it's basically just spacing. You want B to like keep things towards the sideline. The only thing that's going to really defend that curl every single time is going to be a vert hook. And then the streak from the tight end, that can split safeties versus a cover 2, but generally that's just going to help with the spacing and maybe holding the user. Now we really want to throw to the C route on the left side of the field. And the reason it's so good is it gets underneath deep zones, so outside thirds, outside quarters. And if they play a drop 30, so like let's say this guy's backed off like this and he's playing a 30-yard flat, this guy is going to get underneath it. So it's basically a really deep out route, and it gets into a really nice spot on the field. Let's do it again right here. Just throw it to your table. And the great thing about this is he breaks it down more specifically in the ebook, because he'll actually show you like a double Mabel shell. But if they play double Mabel with like a 5 and a 30, you can definitely still throw to the C route. One more time. And then we'll focus on the other side of the field. Should have thrown to the C route. Let's actually do it properly this time. It's like right here, man coverage on the right side of the field. He's backed off, just throw to that curl. And that's kind of the idea. Like, you're looking for a vert hook. If it's not a vert hook, you can throw this curl pretty much every single time. So overall, this is a nice little fundamental setup. It's never going to get you a touchdown or anything, but you do get pretty good yardage. Next up, we're going to be talking about slot 2 buck, and this is going to be a setup that's really designed to attack a cover 3 and a cover 4 drop. So let's have a look versus cover 3 sky. So the way you're going to set this up is you're going to come back your ISO receiver, you're going to streak your tight end, you're going to drag the outside receiver, and then for your running back, I would say if you're going to send him out on a route, this delay table is fine, but the safe thing to do is block him, because we really want to hit this post. Like, that is kind of like the big money shot. It's really between your post and your drag. So just reading between those two guys. You do need a lot of time to, you know, hit this post. But I'm sure you guys have seen like cover 3 bombs like this all the time. It's not the best one of all time, but it does work. And it works against cover 4 as well. As you can see, just like that. And it's just between, like I said, the drag and the post. So if your opponent's dropping really far back, do not be afraid to just throw your drag. Take your gain. I don't need to talk about this setup for too long because it's very simple. I'll show you against cover 4 in a second. If that's a deep in zone KO, be very careful. Don't think he'll pick it, but he will definitely knock that out. And then for cover 4, it is going to be difficult attacking somebody who's using deep in zone KOs on their safeties. But it's the same route combination. You just have to throw it kind of at a certain time. So like right here. If the user's not there, that should be a pretty easy catch if you just kind of go down. It does take some time. And you do want to probably learn the timing on this if you want to throw this. This hook zone is making it look a little scarier than it actually is. Because if we go to instant replay, let's just assume this guy who's dropping super far back is the user. You are going to have the drag underneath right there for a 5 to 10 yard gain. But as you can see, this is clearing out a non-deep in zone KO. If that is a deep in zone KO, be very careful. We have other setups designed for attacking, you know, guys who actually use KOs. You do probably want additional routes for that though. So this is going to be a good, you know, standard setup with no additional routes. Next up, we're going to break down some plays that do require additional routes. So tight end apprentice is highly recommended for this scheme because it is going to give you access to pretty much all of his setups. And it just makes it really hard for your opponent to key in when you do have at least tight end apprentice, because stock routes get highly predictable. And when you're in kind of like an off meta formation, it's very easy to just kind of get boxed by somebody who kind of knows what they're doing. So trying to run this scheme without additional routes is not going to be the best. So let's go ahead and talk about flood drive out of tight Y off, and we'll break this down with tight end apprentice. So for the setup, what we're going to do is streak our slot receiver, which is Y. You're going to crosser your tight end. And then for your running back, he recommends blocking, but I would say if you just want a 5 out, I would recommend putting him on a wheel. That is going to give you an additional man beater. That's also going to give you additional spacing and, you know, pull things away from your drag. I would say this is the best way to 5 out, but I would say it's not necessary because the way we're kind of like reading this play is we're just kind of leveling the middle of the field. We have a short with our drag, we have an intermediate with our crosser, and then we have a deep with our post. So let's snap the ball. The post is obviously what you want to hit because that's the biggest gain that we can possibly get from this. But do not be afraid to take your drag. Drags are boring, but they're effective. It's like right here. Get your 5 to 10 yards. If your opponent keeps dropping with that post, just take it. Now, as for your crosser, I would say that this is mainly good against man coverage, but he can be good against zone if they have certain drops on. So let's do it again. Right here. Take your 5 yards. And it's simple. I don't need to keep spamming it a million times to see how it works. Right here, this is probably man coverage. So let's have a look. Post is going to cook. The crosser will cook as well. It's just not going to be every single time. And that's just kind of how it is with man coverage this year. Sometimes your route will cook, sometimes it won't. There's very few routes that will beat it like close to 100% of the time. Try to wait to see if you'd cross that guy's face. That's not a shell you're really going to see, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. One more time. Bad throw by Patty. I got to do it again. So man coverage. There's your crosser. Good throw. Get the big gain against man coverage. And then the final play I'm going to break down is going to be double post out of normal off close weak. And this setup might be my favorite, like, kind of spammable play because I just love the spacing on it. It's just really nice. So what we're going to do is out route the outside receiver on the left, which is X. Wheel your running back, trail your tight end, and then streak the receiver right next to him. So your play art should look like this. And it just looks nice. I love this trail crosser action over the middle of the field. This is going to put a ton of stress on any user because they kind of have to pick between, I would say, 3 different routes. If he's on the left side of the field, he's going to have to pick between like the running back wheel and the crosser. If he's on the right side of the field, he's going to have to pick between the crosser and the trail. So let's have a look. This is going to be really good versus man coverage. That's a safe throw. Definitely try to fit it in there. Right here, that guy's going to be coming off the edge. I'm going to be looking at the trail first yet again. Just like that. Try to show you the crosser now. We're clearing out on the right side of the field with that streak. You can throw the crosser early. You can throw him late. Against man coverage, you will sometimes get bagged. We did have both the trail and the running back there, but the crosser, I was kind of staring him down to see if he would get open. Sadly, he did not, but that's kind of the nature of man coverage this year. Sometimes your routes will just get bagged, even really good routes. Right there, they played aggressive flats. Running back is going to get over that, but this is the kind of play you guys can run multiple times a game. But like right here, not even a deep in zone KO can do anything about that route. It's going to have to be usered or it's going to have to be manned up. And that man up is going to have to bag. Let's do it again. Just like that. Good knockout. Probably should have possession caught instead of racking it. The out route's typically not going to be a read, by the way. Bad throw by Patrick. But as you can see, it's a really effective play. This trail and I didn't mean to do that. This trail and crosser is going to put a ton of stress on a user and just kind of really make him pick and choose every single play. Anyways, that's going to be it for the breakdown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you want the full offense, be sure to check that out on acemadden.com. It is Matster's Chiefs offense, and he breaks down these formations beautifully. And if you're an off-meta player, you're going to love this. It's going to be so easy for you to move the ball, especially with Master's guidance, because he knows what he's talking about, and he'll show you against, meta shells. Instead of me just showing you against random defenses, he will show you how to attack like double Mabel, all that kind of stuff. So it's very structured. It's very helpful. Check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.